This is Lex Luthor.
And this is Alan Stevens.
Good to meet you all.
How are you, Alan?
Hi, Dave.
What are we talking about today?
I want to talk about vision.
Vision as it applies to software development?
Software development in life. Software development in life. Because you can't... Software development doesn't exist in isolation, doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's a part of a larger context. And things that are part of a larger context gain value. On their own, as an end in themselves, they don't have a lot of value. They can seem meaningless and empty. For instance, if you are living your life day to day, just barely getting by, and you don't have a vision for the future for your life, your day-to-day existence starts to lose meaning. If your day-to-day existence is a part of pursuing a larger plan, a larger goal, a larger framework for your life and where you want to be, whether you've arrived where you're going or not, today has meaning and value in the pursuit of that larger aim.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
So software development on its own is interesting, and for nerds like us, we get curious and it's fun to play with all the toys, but after a while it becomes very empty. It's empty calories, it's junk food. It's junk food for the brain.
Okay.
So just pursuing software development and the new toys and the new techniques all on their own aren't helping people. And so what I believe that the vision that I'm pursuing for software development in my life is that software development I do needs to be in the service of helping people, of serving people, of delighting users.
All right, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that software development technology of it in and by itself has no value unless it's applied to some greater good, some business solution, or maybe even some game, maybe just something beyond just writing the code. It's not enough just to enjoy learning and having fun with the code.
Right, and we talk about, we're at the DevLink conference today. Yeah, we are at a bar, at a conference, and we talked a lot about software development. We had open spaces today, and we treat software development as an end in itself because we're so fascinated and passionate about our craft, but that's not enough. I think the idea of a game is great because the idea of a game is to delight people, to distract people, and that's perfectly noble. But if we stop where we are with just, are we implementing things, are we solving the problem at hand, we miss out on the larger intent of solving the problem, which is to help people, to make their lives better. So I believe very strongly that software development is a service in the larger sense of service, not a business service, but in serving mankind. And in that approach, we have to lower ourselves a little bit. We have to put our egos on the back burner. We have to, if my job is to serve people, to serve the users, the consumers of the product that I'm building or the tool that I'm building, then that needs to be what's most important, not whether the code actually complies with my preferred coding standards or development approaches even. And that's very difficult for me to even articulate, but it's really where my vision of software development has come to at this point, that it means less and less to me. All the things I've spent years learning and trying to get into place are meaningless to me because I realize that the real meaning, the real value, and the real intrinsic reward for software development is in serving the end user and delighting the end user.
I think I'm totally getting this, and I think I can apply it to mathematics. Mathematics is a subject I had a lot of trouble with as a child because learning it didn't seem to have a point until I learned physics, until I learned chemistry, until I learned physical chemistry. Things that I could actually apply it to that gave it meaning. And I think you're saying the same thing about software development. We need to have something to apply software development to. This broader meaning, this is delighting the users you're talking about, to give it value. It doesn't have value in and of itself. It's what it can provide as value. But the way that you're speaking, it sounds like you're saying, you're not saying this, but it sounds like I'm hearing, you're implying that this is a problem in the industry, that we're not doing this and that we should be doing it. Is that a fair statement?
It's certainly a problem in my own software development practice. I'm recognizing that I'm not doing it as much as I should.
Yeah, but you're out in the community a lot.
Well, sure. I'm out in the community, and we talk about, quite often we just talk about the technologies, and they're so divorced from their ultimate use and implementation. And frankly, you learn any technology. You can build working software with older technology. It doesn't matter if you are meeting the needs of the user. You said a couple of things. You talked about physics. For me, my senior year in high school, I took physics, and it made more sense than anything else I'd taken in 12 years of high school because it brought together all of these abstract concepts that we'd been learning and applied them in the physical world in 3 dimensions in a way that took on a great deal more meaning to me. And I absolutely loved that class for that reason. Also, think about the idea of a domain user writing software to solve a problem. They are very focused on solving that problem to meet the needs of the people who are trying to accomplish some task. A domain user who stumbles into software development is very aware of the business environment in which the problem exists and is always very focused on easing that pain, scratching that itch. I, as a software developer, often miss that. And also, I take on some knee-jerk judgmental reactions to the recently announced Lighthouse project from Microsoft, even before I've had a chance to look at the code and see what it produces. But the idea that tools for domain users to build apps seems, to my trained software developer's eye, to be a silly idea and shallow and bound to fail. But then whenever I take on a judgmental opinion and position like that, I immediately have to say, well, what am I missing? I'm obviously overlooking something. It's almost like I'm being defensive about it. Well, what am I being defensive about? The fact that I'm obsessed with my inversion of control container and all the little things that I do to build good software. And I can do all of those things really well and still miss the point completely.
All right, so we get hung up on this software craftsmanship thing. I think we get the idea is that we want to make our code beautiful, just for the sake of beauty. Oh, we'd like to thank our sponsors.
Thank you to our sponsors, Shinerbach.
And we lose sight of the end goal. What problems are we solving? What exactly are we building the software with? I think you're not alone in this. I mean, a lot of people get hung up with this. We want the beauty, the elegance of things like dependency injection. We want the elegance of just well-written code. And if a tool like Microsoft Access, which real programmers scoff at it, if it solves a business problem, that's okay. What can we do about that? What can we do to change ourselves? Is it enough just to be aware of it, or is there more to it than that?
I think that we have to change ourselves by looking for more meaning in what we do. The reward in what we do can't be in the cool hack, although that's great. I love the cool hack, man. But it's got to be in the greater meaning of what we do. This may be too much of a leap for you and probably some of our listeners, but in my mind it goes to this. When a fellow named Ram Dass asked his guru, how do I become enlightened? His guru said to him, feed people, serve people. If what we're doing is not feeding people and it is not serving people, it doesn't have any real value, and we won't ever get satisfaction from the practice of producing these things. That is, when I said lower ourselves earlier, that's exactly what I meant, is we have to humble ourselves, get below our users and lift them up. That is our role.
That's great food for thought. I think that's a good place to wrap it up here. Alan Stevens, thanks a lot for being on my show.
My pleasure. Thanks, Dave. Some of my best friends use technologies